at my phone and make sure we are in the group. It says we are live. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We are live. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Mary Goff from Black Women Expats in Panama, and today we are going to be doing a live Q&A. We're going to be talking about neighborhoods here in Panama City. This is first of a three-part series. The next series, we're going to talk about the beach and the interior areas. And the series after that, we're going to talk about life in Bukete. So if you have any questions or comments, you can put those in the comments. And if you want to click on the link and grant StreamYard to access your name, then we can see who we're speaking to as well. We do have a list of questions that was already posted in the group that we're going to be getting to as well. Okay, so we're going to get started. It's about 7:03, so we're going to get started on time. And if thank you so much, Barbara and Guillory, for joining us. If you ladies want to just give a quick introduction, maybe how long you've been here, just something about yourself.
Okay, well, I'll start. Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Rouse, and I moved to Panama on October 1st of last year. And I live in the San Francisco area, and there's pretty much nothing I don't love about Panama.
I was
Also,
giving you a chance to speak, Barbara, because I was sharing with you folks earlier that it's bedtime in the living room area, and so there was yelling about I don't know, God knows what. My name is Jillery Massa. I moved to Panama with my family, young family of five, in August of last year. We live in the Bella Vista area. There's lots of things I love about this neighborhood, and there's lots of things that we struggle with as a family of five. So I'm
okay.
excited to talk about those things.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about that. Okay, so let's talk about first, maybe let's list something that we like about our particular neighborhoods and something that we don't like. I will start. I'm sort of like in the Balboa area. I'm hearing, what is that? Am I hearing something like something in the feedback? Is it me, or do you guys hear that? Or maybe it's just on my end.
I
Okay.
don't.
All right. Might be something on my end. Okay, let me bring Jean. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi.
How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good.
We're just getting started. We're just sharing something that we like about our neighborhood and something that we don't like. So I guess what I like about one of the main things that I like about my area is that I'm very close in walking distance to the Central Costera, which is a very long walking area here in Panama, in the city of Panama. So I really like having access to that. You can take nice walks early in the morning and also in the evening. And it's also walkable to restaurants. I can walk to the grocery store. Pretty much, yeah, a lot of things are in walking distance. Something that I don't like is that maybe that's just probably in every neighborhood, but probably not every. But I think the streets here in Panama sometimes can be kind of dirty. So I mean, sometimes, well, most of the time the trash is picked up, but it just has like a grimy feel to me.
Mhm.
So I don't when I come to the door, I have an area for my shoes. I don't wear my shoes inside of the house because there's people love their pets here in Panama. So there's always, people picking up pet stuff or whatever. So you never know what you're going to step on. Uh, and also you need to be careful when you're where you're walking because sometimes the sidewalks could have like big holes in them or stuff like that. So I guess that's just part of city life. But overall, Panama City is a good place for me right now. What about you, Barbara?
I'm in the San Francisco area, and I'm actually feet away from getting on the trail at Parque Omar, and that was
Mhm.
one of the things that drew me and my husband over to this area because as we were traveling around with the realtor, each apartment was getting closer and closer to this park. And when she pulled up here and we were right at the park, I said, I think this is going to be the one. So it's a beautiful green space. It's about 2.25 miles around. And of course, I have to get past the ice cream truck and the fruit stand and everything else that's out there. But my routine now is I'll do the 2.25 miles in the morning. I'll stop at the fruit stand, get me a smoothie, and then I got to walk another 2.25 to walk that off. And what I love about this area also is I'm within walking distance of the grocery stores, Do It Center, a Rota, anything within a half a mile walk from my house. And I love the walking. That was one of the things that I wanted to do when I got here. Don't want transportation. I just love the walking. And the one thing that I probably don't like would be the trash on the streets. And it's not too bad over here as I've seen in other areas like, El Congreso area. But that would be basically the only thing that I don't like. And so my husband cleans the floors every morning. That is his morning routine. He get up and clean these floors because there's no telling what we're bringing in this house when we come in here. So, but I absolutely love the San Francisco area over here where I am right by Parque Del Mar.
Okay, thank you so much, Barbara. I'm getting in the comments that they are hearing feedback. So if we're not speaking, can you guys click on the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner and mute yourself if you're not speaking? Okay, so next we'll have Jeannie. Jeannie, if you can just tell us what neighborhood you're living in and something that you like about your neighborhood and something that you don't like about your neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah, I live in Uncon or Albrook. I try not to say Albrook because people immediately think, oh, you live right next to the mall, which I don't. But I live near the regional airport. I love the area because trash is not a problem here, but I'll just tell you, as in general, Panama, trash is an issue. So when I first moved to Panama a few years ago, I got in the habit of I have a sign on front of my door, leave your shoes outside, and I don't wear outdoor shoes in my house because of that. But I love the area because it's very natural. Actually, I have in front of my desk, there's this huge tree that's probably 100 years old, but it's very natural. And that's what I like about it. I'm a city girl, but I like the fact that where I live, it's 4 miles from the central area and it's 4 miles from Clayton. And I'm also near the rainforest. So I have the best of all the different worlds of the city. So what I don't like about it is that most activities are typically held in San Francisco, El Congreso, or somewhere near the Balboa Avenue. So if I go anywhere, I'm typically going out because that's where most people live. But I love the area.
So for me, as I mentioned, I live in the Bella Vista area. We live in El Barrio. We're across the street from El Cangrejo. And what actually drew us to this area is that we really love the Andres Bello Park, which is a great park for kids. And so we were looking for something in this neighborhood. So we love the proximity to the subway. We can walk to the metro station, and that, 2 stops over, we're at Albrook Mall, 2 stops over, we're, on our way to Don Bosco where my father lives. So it felt really central and easy to get around. And at the beginning, we had these ambitions of not owning a car, to just walk in metro everywhere. That didn't pan out. We now own a car, but it is super central, and we love that about the neighborhood. We're not far from a Price Mart, which is the equivalent of a Costco. We're walking distance from 2 Feria Libres, which are fruit stands. And there's a bit of a nightlife. So, when my husband and I get the opportunity to go out, we don't have to go too far to find a cafe or a restaurant to go to. So it feels like a good first fit. We rented this spot by doing a virtual tour. My mother was in Panama. I sent her with a real estate agent to visit a couple of places. This was one of them. And so there's some things about the neighborhood and about the building itself that we likely would have noticed had we been the ones to tour it. So accessibility is challenging in this city. If you have any kind of mobility device or a stroller or a wheelchair, it can be challenging. Our building has a set of stairs to get to the elevator. So my mother did not notice this, but we did once we got here. So it's not a deal breaker, but it is challenging. Garbage, as you folks have already mentioned, is challenging. And I think just generally in this neighborhood, sidewalks are not very consistent. And so for us, we have 3 young children, one in a stroller. They're clumsy, they like to run ahead, and we're used to our nice Canadian sidewalks. So I think that those are you realize the luxuries that you left back home that you were tied to, but didn't realize you were tied to until you didn't have them anymore.
Mhm.
Okay, wow, that could be challenging with a stroller, kind of going upstairs. I guess an everyday thing, depending on how often you go out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
develop
that's
the good muscles.
right. Okay, so we also were provided a list of questions that were in the chat and also in the group. So we'll go through some of the questions. While we wait for some questions from the audience. And Guillory, you talked about this. You mentioned a little bit of this while you were talking. This is one of the questions we had in the audience. I have a daughter that is in a wheelchair, looking for the most handicap accessible city. Any suggestions?
I mean, our lease will be up in July, and so we're considering, do we move? Do we find somewhere else to go that might be a little bit more conducive? Although we really love this neighborhood. Costa del Este is a nice neighborhood that has sidewalks, and it feels very American, which is a draw to me. Like, I came here to feel a little bit different, and so for that, it might be a drawback for some folks, but it definitely has the type of infrastructure that is good for accessibility. It is a pricier area in Panama City, and so you just have to be, if you're looking for Latin American prices, Costa del Este is probably not the place. And Ancon, in some areas in Ciudad de Saber and Albrook, so there's a little bit, but it's really community to community, I would say. You're on mute.
I wanted to add something to that because I started out when I moved to Panama. I started out in Boquete, and the broken sidewalks, the accessibility to people who are like in chairs or who have canes. I think that's a challenge in almost every city that I've been to. And I travel a lot, and I realize as I travel around the world, it seems like the US has better adapted to supporting people who need that kind of help. It seems like they're really good at it. So when you come to a place like Panama or some of the other countries I've been to, it's like, wow, what happened here? I remember going to Italy a few years ago, and one of the people with us brought her mother, and her mother was in a wheelchair, but she wanted to go everywhere. So the guys were constantly carrying her chair up and down stairs, and it was like, wow, this is really tough. So I have yet to see an area of Panama that is completely supportive of people who need ramps or chair, help with their chairs and canes and so forth. I've yet to see that here. So yeah.
And I've also noticed that not only I don't feel like I've been anywhere around the city that was wheelchair accessible. To me, when you go to the stores and stuff, I don't see very many handicap parking spaces. I noticed that here.
However, there are some handicap and some parking for pregnant women. I have noticed those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a drawback. I think that you're right in saying that North America is a lot more advanced when it comes to supporting folks with disabilities. And then here there's no kind of legislation or central body that's advocating for that. And so this is the consequence, that it's really like the sidewalk of a building is up to that building to do with. It's not the city that says you have to have this many feet before your door, you have to have a ramp to access it. Like I've seen ramps that lead to nowhere. I've seen ramps that lead to a step. So, even the challenge is, unfortunately, that even if you do find a neighborhood that itself has thought about people with disabilities, you might need to go to a grocery store, and the commute there might not be accessible. The subways are accessible to some extent. Most have elevators, but sometimes you going down, you'll have an elevator, but going up, you won't. And so there's those things that I notice because I have a stroller. But if you are somebody who is fully mobile, you might not be paying attention to. We're not able to hear you.
Okay. If I have a hard time unmuting myself, you guys can go ahead and read the question and start talking, so we don't have a delay here. But no, okay. One of the ladies in the chat wanted to know if the locations mentioned in or near Panama City. Yes, all of us do live here in Panama City. We were just talking about different neighborhoods that we're living in. Like Panama City is like this area you can go 2 or 3 blocks down from your area, you'll be in another neighborhood. I mean, I'm calling them neighborhood for lack of a better word. Is there another word that they use here? I'm sure they don't call them neighborhoods. What is the word?
I think it is neighborhood, but we're all far from each other, but it's maybe 15 minutes to get to any of you on a bad day.
Right. On a bad day, that's true. A quick 10-minute Uber ride or bus ride, or yeah, we're all relatively very close to each other. Okay, let's go to another question here. Any recommendations for non-high-rise community near Panama City?
Well, I can say where I live, there aren't many high rises. Maybe I should mention that to people, because if you're looking for a high rise, that is a disadvantage here. There's only one location in this vicinity that has high rise, and that's in Clayton. But most of the buildings in the area I'm in, they don't go higher than 4 stories. So I moved from one building to the other in my complex, and I went from the 4th floor with just the top to the 2nd. But there aren't a lot of high rises here.
What is your area again, Jeannie? What's your area?
Uncon.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
ANCON.
Okay. Got it. For the people that are listening.
I mean, if you don't mind being a little bit outside of like the core of Panama City, closer to the airport, like San Miguelito, Don Bosco, those areas are much more affordable. You're definitely going to get the Panama flavor in those neighborhoods. And it's mostly houses. You don't often see high-rise apartments. And so it's a recommendation for people who are looking for a much more affordable lifestyle. It's still, you can take the corridor, which is our highway, quite quickly into Panama City, maybe about 20 minutes. And so it's not too far from action. And it also has its own, all of those neighborhoods have malls and restaurants, and
they're all self-contained.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really need to come to Panama City to find yourself entertained or find the things that you need that are essentials.
And I find that most of the non-high-rise building over here where I am, they're older buildings. So they don't have the social areas, because I have actually been looking at a couple within the last week. And of course that, I prefer the high-rise, but the realtor did take me to several, and they were just much older.
Yeah, that's a good point. A friend of mine who lives in a complex up the street from me, her building is a little bit higher than mine. I think she has 7 or 8 stories. They do have the social areas. My building is old, very old. But what I like about it is the rooms are bigger. For some reason, all of the
Mm,
rooms are really
yeah.
big, and we
Yes.
have terraces. There is a gym here, but I went there. It's like ancient. So you're absolutely right with that. Most of the smaller buildings do not have the social areas. You find a lot of that in town with the high rises.
Yeah. The trade-off with those shorter, like in Panama City proper, there is, as you said, those short buildings but they don't have the social areas. The trade-off is that it is huge spaces, like
Yes.
300 meters square.
Yes.
And they really are designed for families. You know,
Yes.
in North America, I think they stopped making
Mhm. Mhm.
buildings like this where, one flat, large kitchen, large
Mhm.
bedrooms, large living space, large
Mhm.
balcony space. So, and they're on the more affordable realm because they are older buildings
Right.
and they don't have the social areas.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, next question. We don't have your name here, but how is the medical system in Panama? Because I have a chronic illness and want to ensure that I can receive the care I need. Has anyone used the medical system here?
My husband uses the medical system here, and what happened is, um, when we moved here in October, he received emails from his primary care doctor in the States that he needed to go have some blood work done because they were looking at some results that he had back in the States. And what we did was we contacted Mike Kelly, and he actually sent a doctor here to our house. They did, all of the blood work and all. And once we got the results back, of course, they referred us to, I think, Hospital Nacional down by Santa Tomas, as I'm saying that correctly. But we went there, and of course, during the consultation, the doctor came out into the lobby and brought me in back into the room. And that doctor, he answered all of my questions. He answered all of my husband's questions. And it wasn't like we was on a timer like we are in the States. You got 5 minutes and you need to be out of here. We was in that office almost an hour, and he scheduled additional, you know, things for him to have to go do, blood work, x-rays, a list of stuff. And when we got ready to leave, I asked him how much we owe. And the total of that hour consultation came to $64. And he
Mm.
even did, extras, he did heart rate and all that kind of stuff while we were there. So he gave us a list of places to go to get the x-rays and all. And we have spent, and of course, the good thing is we pay up front because we don't have insurance here. He has Medicaid, but it will only pay in an emergency. And I have VA here, but it will only cover me in an emergency. So we pay up front for the services, and they've been extremely inexpensive compared to even co-pays in the United States. We pay up front, and the good thing is there's no additional bills that we have coming. Like in the States, you might pay now, but then you got to pay the doctor, you got to pay for the supplies and everything. We pay that up front before services are rendered, and that is the end of it. But we have been extremely satisfied with the health care he's getting here because they found some kidney issues. And so, he's getting proper care. And, the doctors, a lot of them are American trained. They speak English, so there is no issue with you're trying to
Mhm.
figure out what they're telling you about your
Right.
health situation. So, I mean, we are very happy with the health care that he's been receiving here.
Okay.
We have also access healthcare here. So we're from Canada. And so paying for any type of healthcare feels like foreign to us. however, we had an issue where my husband got a very bad sore throat and he developed some kind of a stone in the back of his throat. It was very weird. We did not know what to do. And he felt like after going to YouTube University that he needed to have it taken out, and the best thing was to go to a dentist. So we went, and the dentist was like, checked him and said, "There's nothing really I can do for you, but and I'll charge you $10 for this consultation, and I'll refer you to a ear, throat, and nose doctor up the street. Here, let me have the secretary call them and see if they can book you in right away." And the secretary called, booked us in, called our taxi. We went to this place, and at the end of it, they had to put a whole tube down his throat and use a camera, give him a bunch of medication. By the end of it, we probably paid $150 for everything, which I think is reasonable for the fact that he was in a lot of pain, and it did feel like an emergency. There is also a mini med, which is a walk-in clinic up the street from us that you also pay when you come in, and there's two options. If you want to wait, if you can wait, it's $25 to see a doctor, and then any medication that you need, you can get it in that way, and pay for it, or you can do the express line, and that's $50. And so that's an option. But often, for any over-the-counter things, you can just go to a pharmacist and say, "This is what I'm feeling. What can you recommend?" And they'll recommend something to you, and you do Google for side effects, and then they ask you how many days of treatment do you want, and they give you an individual pill. So I mean, it doesn't solve if you have a chronic illness. I think that as long as you understand what your medication needs are, you'll be able to find a doctor and a pharmacy that will be able to support you.
Great. Okay, let's go to the next question from Lisa. How do we go about finding available rentals? Is there a listing online, or do we need to work with an agency? Okay, I guess I'll start. And I think the only way to find, well, I guess there's several ways to find an apartment here in Panama. But the most effective way is to definitely work with a realtor or an agency. I'm a fan, some might not be, but I'm a fan of working with more than one person, because some may only have a limited access. They can only show you the things that are in their listing, or that's, what they might start off with, because they want to get those rented first. So there's also sites online that you can use and research, for yourself. There's Facebook ads you can look at. There's Facebook groups that have rentals in. You can do some research on your own. Also word of mouth. People that are already living here might know about vacancies in the building, but it's something that you're definitely going to need some help with, especially if you don't know the areas, because from what I'm seeing, there's like there's a bunch of apartments that are available for rent, but depending on your budget and the time of year that you come, it might be, different things than what you're seeing online. So it's best to work with someone in person. Once and talked about how she did the virtual, where they looked at the video. You can do that as well to get you started. But like she said, some things were mentioned, well, not mentioned, but missed by her mother. But if you're going to be living there yourself, you might want to come look at it yourself. So I'm going to say yes to that answer as far as being the most efficient way to find an apartment. Yes, you do need a realtor and to go through an agency. Anything else? Want to add something?
So
I find it,
go ahead.
I find it very helpful to work with a realtor if you are not fluent in Spanish, because that's what I've been dealing with. A lot of times the owner, they don't speak English. I speak poquito Spanish. So the realtor was able to, go between myself and the owners. Versus if I was out there trying to do it by myself and trying to negotiate with an owner that don't speak English.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You can find signs around the area where people have for sale and for rent signs. In fact, there's one up the street where somebody put a sign up, and I'm like, I've never seen that word before, but it means bargain. You could see signs that way and drive around to check out the neighborhoods, which I would advise anyway. But the challenge you have if you're not fluent in Spanish is understanding what they're going to tell you. I mean, my Spanish is really bad, and I use Duolingo, and I was asking a real estate agent. I said, "Do you guys really say this word for bedroom?" And he said, "No, that means master bedroom, not bedroom in general." So just little nuances like that. There's also an online website called Encuentra 24,
Yeah.
and it's like a Craigslist. And
Mhm.
similar to the Facebook market, you see rentals and properties for sale out there. So that's one, but it's best to work with I agree with everybody, it's best to work with the broker. And even with the website, that particular website, you get in touch with the broker anyway. So
Yes, and
Yeah.
if you just type the word rental, that particular website will come up. We did a post on that in our group, and it's also listed in our featured section in the group. But if you type on that magnifying glass, type in the word rental, and that particular website with actually a example of how to use it will come up in our group. We have that posted in our group.
So we did use. I am fluent in Spanish, and so I was like, I don't need a realtor. So we did use Encuentra 24 to find an
Mhm.
apartment. That was not the apartment, but that apartment connected us to a realtor who
Okay.
said, you know what, I think I have one or two that might be a really good fit for your family
Mhm.
and the needs that you have. And so he was the one who kind of set us up, and we looked at a number of different apartments and in different places. So I agree that a realtor doesn't cost you anything to have a realtor. The fee
Right.
goes on to the person who's renting their
Right.
unit.
Mhm.
And they just have access to things that might not be on Encuentra 24 or other platforms. The other thing is that like a lot of things sit for a very long time on these sites. So sometimes things are available or they've been there for a long time, and sometimes they've just never taken down a post and something's already been sold or rented.
Right.
And then the last thing I'll say is I think that if before you buy rent and before you rent visit, I would say it's important for you to just get a feel of the type of neighborhoods, because you can only tell so much from seeing things online.
Absolutely. Okay, our next question is from Sally. I was in Panama City last spring and I was terrified by the driving. Is it possible to manage without having a vehicle? And then she wanted to know how pricey are vehicles in Panama City? I didn't even like to drive in the States. So I've always said, hey, I'm going to get a driver one day. Wasn't thinking I was going to be living here in Panama, but I get around mostly by Uber. Um, I don't drive. I don't like to drive. Never did like to drive. I drove because I had to, but now that I don't, so I'm also starting to use the public transportation. I did the metro the other day, and I'm going to the mall on the bus on Thursday. So I'm enjoying, those type of transportations. But I don't have any desire to buy a car or to drive here in Panama. But I know we have some drivers here, so you guys can talk about that.
Well, I'm not one of those drivers. I am the queen of public transportation. The buses here are 25¢, and if you know you're going to be back on a bus within 40 minutes, you scan on the way out and you get your next ride for free. The trains are 35¢. I use the Me Bus app on my phone, and I
yes.
can get
Mhm.
anywhere within Panama City using that Me Bus app. It finds my location and it tells me what bus I need to go or if I need to walk.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. And the thing is, now I couldn't tell you where a bus was in when I lived in Atlanta. That was just not going to happen. But now I love the cost, and I'm retired. I don't have nowhere to be at any given time. So I started Ubering when I first got here, but once I learned the train and the bus system, I only Uber now if it's something time sensitive. If I had to be at immigration 2 weeks ago, we needed to be at immigration at a certain time, so I called an Uber. Or my husband have a doctor's appointment, we'll catch an Uber. But if it's not one of those two things, I'm on the bus and the train, and I absolutely love it. And I walk everywhere, so I'm complete. I do not want a vehicle over here.
Okay.
I do drive in Panama. Mostly because like public transit is great for all the reasons that you've all listed. It gets you everywhere in the city, and they are expanding it to get you a little bit outside of the city parameters, which is fantastic. It's affordable, it's clean, it's safe, it's air conditioned, and so I feel like if I didn't have young kids, I would subway everywhere. I just felt it was becoming overwhelming to truck them all over the place solely on the bus. So I was somebody who in Canada hated to drive. If my husband was with me, he was driving. And when I got here, I said, you're going to have to put your big girl pants on if you want some freedom and you want to get places. You're going to have to figure out driving. And so it is terrifying, but it is doable. Take it from me. I would also say there's Uber, as you folks mentioned, but I also know that a lot of folks will make a relationship with a taxi driver,
Yes.
perhaps one that knows English, have them on speed dial, and you can call them, especially those who don't live in the city center. Often that's what happens. They have a relationship with a driver that will pick them up and take them places.
Right.
And so that is also a possibility.
Okay.
Now, I use all of the above. I drive, and my car, by the way, I have an old car, which I'm happy. If I had to do it again, I would buy another old car, because if you do drive, there are two things to be mindful of. Parking spaces are very tight. And before you go anywhere, make sure you know that there is parking, which is why I take the bus, I take Uber, and I drive, depending on what I'm trying to do. The bus is really good. The thing about driving is I used to drive in Atlanta, so driving here is not a big deal to me. It was somewhat intimidating because I wasn't used to the roundabout, and I came here with two cats, and my cats were crying in the back. And I was like, was that the first roundabout or the second exit? Which one did I just miss it? I went in a circle like 4 times before I took the right exit. So it can be a little overwhelming in the beginning. But one thing I did notice coming from Atlanta, I haven't seen as many car accidents here, considering the way that people drive. But yeah, all of your options. And Uber is quite cheap here compared to the US.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, here's a question from Peggy. How are you dealing with the mold during the rainy season? Does anybody have any mold issues or?
Now, I did when we first got here. Of course, we got here in October, and what I do now is I have like the small portable dehumidifiers, and I only run them at night. We just run them in the bedrooms and in the maids' quarters. So and then we turn them off during the day when we have all of the windows open. I have everything that we have because the shoes were getting mold on them. And what I did was I went to Price Mart and they had a sale of the 12 shoe boxes for like $13, something like that. So now every pair of shoes that we have is in a shoe box. And then I went to Amazon and I have these the gel packs. They're in every container that I have with shoes, my typing paper, everything in here is in a container, and everything has the little silica gel packs. Okay. So we're not getting the moisture in anything like we were when we first got here. Because when we first got here, of course, I had a pair of boots, and all of a sudden, we had mold on the boots. So then I had to start researching, okay, how are we going to solve this problem? And then, of course, the little damp red, or even the Panamanian versions of the little damp red containers. Those are perfect for the closet. So we don't get any mold issues now in the closets. And everything in this house is in a container.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else have anything to add, or are we going to go on to the next?
Okay. I'm going to mention about the mold that the mold, there is, I mean, like everybody was saying, there are containers and stuff you can do to put in your closets and cabinets. But if you're considering moving somewhere where it rains more, like Boquete, where I used to live, the mold is much worse than what it is here. So you do have to run a dehumidifier on a regular basis, and you do need to make sure everything is well protected, particularly leather. So that's just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, I wouldn't even bring leather, a lot of leather here, you know,
Yeah.
because of the humidity system. All right. Okay. Another person wants to know about Alberrio as a residential community. I'm looking at an apartment on the fifth floor, just off Calle 50. I'm concerned about noise. Does anybody
We
live near that area?
we live in Obarrio. We
Okay,
live
yeah.
not too far from the Sorties Hotel that becomes a nightclub on Saturday, Friday, and Saturday nights. But we don't hear anything here. The only thing that we hear is on Saturday night. I know to put my kids to bed after 9 or well before 9 because the church near us often has weddings, and those weddings they often throw fireworks after the ceremony, which the kids love. But that's really all that we hear. We don't. There is a rave that happens Saturday night somewhere very far. It's not nothing that disturbs your sleep if you close your windows, and so it's not a barrier.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll go on to this question. Does anyone have information on social events for teenagers? Can you list the names of the neighborhoods where you all live? We'll put that in a description as far as the list of the neighborhoods. We'll do that because we did that in the beginning. So we'll put the list out. Um, I don't have a teenager here, but I would suggest there are several other Facebook groups. There's I think it's called Panamanian Young Black Experience that has younger have people with teenage children. So I would maybe, suggest joining some other groups and getting active with other parents that have teenage children. Because I think it depends on the building where you live as far as social events for teenagers. I would, interacting with other people because a lot of people do, game nights and, what do you play dates? Or probably don't call that for teenagers, but 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 yeah, I would start by interacting with people that are in your same family situation. Anybody have anything else to add on that?
I do notice, I have noticed that the teenagers that I've run across here, I don't have any children, but there are lots of activities for them. There are lots of sports activities. There are
Yes.
like chess games and stuff like there are a lot of activities for young people. You just have to get connected with the right group. And like Mary said, there is a Facebook group where people are sharing information.
Okay. I notice most places don't have screens. Is there a lot of creepy crawlies that get it? I don't have that problem. Maybe because of because we all live in high rises or whatever. Or, well, maybe not all of us, but I don't have a problem. I don't have a screen on my patio door or on yeah, none of my patio doors. So to get some fresh air, I'll open my door, at a certain period of time. I've never had anything come in this apartment. So that's an issue that I don't have. Anybody else have that problem?
I've had maybe, I'm on the 21st floor and my windows are always open. I've had maybe one little small gecko get in and then we got him out. But for the most part, no, we don't have any creepy crawlies coming in.
I haven't either. I live on the second floor and I have plants on my terrace. And I think over the year I've been here, I might have seen one gecko, and I told my cat to get it. And my cat looked at me like I lost my mind. But I did. Again, I came from Boquete. I had to learn a lot about Panama through Boquete because the first night that I had gone into a place I rented, there was a tarantula on the doorknob that freaked me. And there were lots of scorpions there in my house and spiders. So I had to get used to that. But I think because we're in the city, I don't think we have to worry about that here because I've seen a gecko every now and then. That's pretty much it. And I leave my door open. It freaked me out that there were no screens in the window. I'm like, what the heck? We're in Central America and there are no screens in the window. And I
Right.
actually ordered a portable screen from Amazon because I just couldn't get with that. But now I leave the door to my terrace open overnight and there's no problem.
And surprisingly,
Okay.
no mosquitoes either.
Yes, I don't
That is
understand it.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it depends on the area because I had a friend that lived in over in Amador Causeway, and matter of fact, she was telling me that she could no longer go out on her patio because of all
Oh,
of the mosquitoes
yeah.
because she's on
I
the lower.
wondered if that was because she's so close to the water. You think maybe?
Exactly, I think so, and she's also on a lower level. So
Uh,
yes, she has a
yeah.
beautiful view, of all the ships and everything, but she can no longer go on her patio. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean. And she said no, it doesn't matter what type of bug stuff she puts out there, she gets eaten alive.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So someone just mentioned that they're in the middle of their search. They hope to sign a lease this weekend. They strongly encourage using an agent. So basically, they came across some ads where people were trying to sublet illegally. Using
Oh,
an agent keeps you safe.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Okay, here's a good question. I'm planning an exploratory trip. Do you think it would be more helpful to do a group tour?
I'm not
You
sure
know,
what that means. What does that mean? A group tour, like,
like a relocation tour. I
oh, like
think
that?
it depends. I think it depends on the person. You know, matter of fact, I have a video on my channel about my scouting trip that I did here, and maybe because of my background, because I've traveled a lot and I'm big on researching a lot, and I had been in a lot of Facebook groups, looked up a whole lot of information on myself. I decided we didn't need a tour, so we did things like, we stayed in the Airbnb so we could literally stay in a neighborhood so we could walk around and get a feel of the area. We went into like supermarkets. Um, we went into the malls. So we did stuff that locals do, the local restaurants, so we can kind of get a feel. We took the Uber. We did that in the city and also the beach area. Um, and we met some expats while we were here because I had connected with some women prior to coming. So they took me around to actually see some apartments. So you make connections before you get here. And if you're used to doing things on your own and don't need to be, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing if you need, someone to show you everything. But if you're more of an independent, don't want to be tied to a group schedule or whatever, want to have some free time to do your own thing, I don't necessarily think you need a group tour to come here and visit. But if that's your thing, then of course, you do what's comfortable for you. But that's just my own personal opinion. Anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't do an initial visit or a group tour. I
Hmm.
researched for over a year, well, about right at a year, and we'd already kind of narrowed down what area we wanted to be in. And so when we got here, of course, like she said, we rented an Airbnb and we walked around, did the Uber, and everybody at home asked me, so what are you going to do if you get over there and it's not what you thought it was or whatever? Well, then I can go back home. I'm not committed to staying in Panama, but I did enough research that there was no reason for us to actually do a tour. I mean, like a group tour. We kind of narrowed down, and we had the realtor take us around in those areas, but group tour, that wasn't for me.
I did international living conference and I did Panama relocation tours. Um, but really, I'll just warn you: if you move, there will always be something you're like, oh, I didn't think to ask about that. I didn't think to look for that. So I had this intensive, in-depth list of here's what I have to have, here's the reason why I'm moving, and this is the objective I'm trying to achieve, and these are the things I have to have. And even with that, and even with the tour, I got to Panama and I realized the town I was in did not have very good care for cats, and I came here with 3 of them, and that freaked me out. But that was something I didn't think was something worth researching. I figured everybody takes care of the pets. So I think the tours are good, but I think you could pretty much achieve the same thing on your own. Um, the tours, organized tours are easy because everything is packaged for you. But remember, the people leading those tours, and they have their own biases also. So,
We didn't do a tour. I call what we did a slow immigration, because every couple of years we would come and spend a few months in Panama and test out new neighborhoods. I'm originally from here. I have lots of family here, so that is my advantage. But yeah, I don't, we didn't use a tour group, and I don't know that they'd be able to anticipate our needs. I think we just really needed to meditate on what we needed and find ways. So our first year here, we were trying to find where are the Muslims in Panama. And so we drove across Panama and visited every mosque to see if we could find a community that was good for us. We didn't, but, that was something that at that time felt important to us. So yeah, it could go either way. I dropped off, sorry, my power went out, but when they were asking the questions about the teenage activities for teenagers, and I just would say that I'm part of a Black Moms in Panama group. They have a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group, and that has been really helpful and useful. And once a month, they organize activities, and everybody goes to. At the end of the month, we're all going bowling, and so it's been nice to have our kids kind of meet each other in that way. And the park that we're near in Andres Bello, they have activities every weekend. They have, street festivals and music festivals and a bunch of different things, activities that they have for young people, kids, families. They have a basketball run, they have a volleyball run, they have a soccer run. And so if your kids are into things like that, there's lots of kind of things around for folks to do. And our kids are in a lot of extracurricular, which is the benefit of living in the city, that, we have gymnastics and jiu-jitsu that we're shipping kids around to, and it's a good way to meet other families.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, this is just another comment in regard to the tour. Stephanie says she thinks a group tour is personal preference. There's enough free information on YouTube and other Panama groups that will answer most of your questions. Boots on the ground for an extended time, at least a month, will help with making decisions. So, okay. And here's another comment from Cheryl. Cheryl, what happened to you? You were supposed to be here in the Brady Bunch box here. I never did a group tour, but like Mary, did a lot of research and connect with online community. Let's see. Someone else is thanking us for sharing your experience and perspectives with us. I truly appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. Okay. Here's another comment. Invest in you, not the tour. Just research and pay the money on what you have researched. Okay. We'll share that in the description as well. The WhatsApp group. We'll put that in the description for you, KJ. The kids group, the moms group, I believe. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go to some of the. What time is it? Oh, wow. Okay. Someone sent me oh, okay. I'm going to go to, we did get some questions. If I can get to them. We had some questions that were sent to us prior to the event. We talked about that. We might have answered all of our questions here.
there's somebody asked about the mail and why did you choose Panama? Yeah.
Okay, let me get to that. Where's the one? Oh, here it is. This one right here. How do you get mail here in Panama? Is it possible to get Amazon packages? There's several third-party sites that give you a mailing address in Florida, and you can get packages. I personally use Zip Cargo, which is one of the local companies here. They're very communicative as far as like I get an email when I have a package. I also communicate with them through WhatsApp, sending them like a screenshot of my payment for the package. I think they charge $2.50 per pound, something like that. And I pay an extra $3 to have the package delivered to my apartment. So I use Zip Cargo. That's the company that I use.
And I used RS Cargo. I have an account at Airbox, and how I got the Airbox first because one of the drivers had recommended Airbox, and it's within walking distance. But then one day I was going to the bus and saw the RS Cargo, and decided to try them. And of course they're $2.75 a pound, and that's closer for me. And from the moment I order something from Amazon, I have Prime, so it gets to Miami within a day or two max.
Mhm.
And then I get an email from RS Cargo within 3 to 4 days max. So they're actually quicker than when I was using the Airbox. And they just send me an email. It tells me how much my package is, and I just
Mhm.
go up there and pick it up. And I do a lot of Amazon shopping.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I have a monthly list.
A monthly Amazon.
I order so much. I got an Amazon card, so one month I got all of the stuff I ordered was free.
Well, I'm trying to not feed my online shopping addiction, and so I was grateful for the lack of ease. I was like, 4 days to get here, no way.
Exactly.
So I've saved a lot of money as a result of the lack of mailing system here.
Basically,
Okay.
you choose a service. There are multiple services, and basically you choose one that you like, and then they give you a mailbox in Miami, and then your stuff is delivered to Miami, and the service delivers it to you.
Yes.
And you usually pay per pound, and some of them give you like a grace up until a certain amount, and then they start to charge you. So there's just different options.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna answer a few more questions. I wanted us to be online an hour. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon, but I thought this was a pretty good one. What made each of you choose Panama City over other areas in Panama?
Well, when I was doing my research, originally we thought we were going to Nueva Gorgana.
Sorry.
But once we got here, once we got to the city and started being taken around to the areas, my husband especially fell in love with Panama City. And it didn't matter to me. So what the plan is of course we're starting here at Panama City, but then next year we may end up in Nueva Gorgana. So I don't plan to necessarily stay here, but it was actually a very good start.
Awesome. Okay. Who wants to go next?
For me, it was. I have family here. My father lives in Panama City. My mother lived in Panama City. She's now in Anton. And I'm a city girl. It just felt the best place to land with 3 children and have some supports from family and siblings and aunts and uncles and all of that. My husband really, really, really loves Boquete, and he's like lobbying hard for us to go and move somewhere there. In Dolega, he likes the mountains.
Right.
I'm not super sold yet, but I also feel like we're in transition and also still trying things out. We know for certain that we don't want to be back in Toronto.
Right.
And so who knows if even Panama as a whole is the place. It's the place for now.
Exactly. Okay. Jeannie?
I used to live in Boquete, as I mentioned, and I think the thing that got to me, and I'm overall I'm pretty healthy. I play any sport you can pretty much think of, so I'm pretty healthy. But what got to me about Boquete and some of the smaller towns was having access to medicine, having access to hospitals. Boquete, for example, has a local clinic but no hospital, so you have to drive to David to the nearest hospital. When I came here and saw all of the hospitals, the medical facilities, also living in a small town, you're thinking, oh, they don't sell this product in Panama. No, it was not that they didn't sell it in Panama in that particular town. So I like that Panama City feels like a city I'm used to with having all of the resources that I need. And that was pretty important to me. So
Okay. Does anybody have any experience or knowledge? Yeah.
No, I don't.
All I know about Arrejang is that it is like a suburb and it's across the bridge. And we do have some friends like from the school that live on the other side of the Pan American, the the Bridge of the Americas.
Right.
And that it's hard. Traffic is difficult coming into and out of the city at certain points, and so that has
Yes.
been the biggest complaint that I heard from folks who live in the Panama Oeste region, just on the other side of Panama City. That while you Google Maps it, it seems close, that traffic can be challenging.
yeah, I
Right.
lived over there too.
It's, and that's, yeah. Because I think I was initially interested in a neighborhood over there, but when I found out about the bridge, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know there's a lot of chat amongst yourselves, which is very nice. I'm glad a lot of people are answering questions. Thank you so much, Roxanne, for helping out. Appreciate you so much. Um, Roxanne is part of our admin team here in the group. Guys, did I miss anything? I think
Oh,
we
somebody
are.
just asked about the heat.
Oh, where's that? Oh, here it is. Okay, we'll
It's
finish off with that.
Yeah, Mary, answer that one.
It's hot. I mean, I walk around in a hijab, mostly like in a wrap, and people, aren't you hot in that? And I'm like, aren't you hot? We're in Panama City, for God's sakes. It's 32 degrees on a regular, so yes.
Oh, here it is. How is it? Yeah.
It's hot, but it's manageable and get a good AC. And
Yeah, you do things, like I go out for an early walk. My walks have gotten early because it's so humid now. So, and sometimes I do it late in the afternoon. So you just kind of like, adjust your day around the heat. So,
And the heat doesn't bother me. I love the heat. And I got in trouble by Mary the other day because I don't wear a hat and sunscreen. So she told me I better stop doing that. But
Yes.
absolutely, the heat does not bother me. I mean, people complain about the humidity, but I'd be like, what's the big deal?
Do like I do. Do like I do. Wake up at 5. And the minute the sun comes out, do everything you need to do outdoors.
the parks are pretty packed at 4 o'clock onwards. The boardwalk is pretty packed 4 o'clock. Like everybody lives kind of according to the sun's.
right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that has been adjusted. But I always have to tell myself I was running away from Southern Ontario cold winters, and 6 months of the year we had below 30.
Wow.
And it
That's
was snow and it was dark and it was dreary. So I'm not complaining. Bring it on.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank my guests so much for being here. This was such an enjoying conversation. Like I mentioned in the beginning, this is our first series. Our next series, we're going to talk about the beach areas and the interior areas. And the third series will be about Boquete. So once again, if you're watching this on replay, this will be available on my YouTube channel, My Season Life with Mary Goff, and we'll also have it posted in the group as well. If you want to participate in any future panel discussions, or if you have a topic that you want us to cover, let us know. We here, Black Women Expats in Panama, are here as a resource to you. And we want to share information freely and make it easier for you, whether you're relocating or just visiting Panama. So thank you, ladies, for being here so much. We're gonna,
Thanks, Mary. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary, for organizing. Nice to meet
I
all of you.
really appreciate, and I hope to meet you in in person soon, Hillary. Thank you so much for volunteering. I mean, what a sweetheart. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Barbara and Jeannie.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so very much. So
Thank you.
we're going to sign off, and thank you, the ladies in the chat. You guys were active. Y'all had your own thing going on there. So we appreciate all of the people that were on live tonight. Stay tuned for next Tuesday. We'll be back next Tuesday. Talking about the beach. Have a nice evening. We hope to see you. We have an event. I don't know if it's too late to sign up for our event on Friday. We have a pottery event. But next, is it Wednesday? Is our Mother's Day luncheons. It's still not too late to sign up for that on May 16th or 17th. I don't have a see
The
what happens.
17th.
See what's happened this time of night. It's 8 o'clock. So all right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Black Women Expats in Panama. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye bye.